Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you guys are having an awesome day. Thanks for coming back to the channel to hang out. Today's video, I put a bar and a chain on a saw that I really haven't done any work with for no reason other than I guess I just have too many saws. Now, normally, for my day-to-day firewooding, falling needs, any of that kind of stuff, this is all I need, friends. This is pretty much the perfect saw for me. It's a Husqvarna 266 SE, ported 66 cc's. You guys know me, that's my saw. I love this thing. It's lightweight, powerful, oils well, gets the job done. You guys saw me last week running this saw in smaller wood. I'm just gonna throw it down there. And that's typically the kind of wood I cut. Now, dead blue spruce that's been sitting for a couple of years standing, that stuff doesn't rot. That stuff gets harder and harder and nastier to cut. It's actually not easy cutting when it's rock hard, friends, when it's dry. I was cutting ash today, green ash, and that stuff cut like butter. Then I went back into the blue spruce and it actually was kind of not fun to cut. Very chattery, eats up the oil. You can just feel it. So that's typically why I grab like a 72, 77 cc saw, because I want the extra grunt to cut through that stuff. But today I thought, you know, let's try this saw in my typical cutting scenarios. Husqvarna 357 XP. I picked this up last winter I think I grabbed this saw, and it's in really nice shape. Super clean. These saws are, what does the sticker say? I believe they're 56 cc's, 57 cc's, friends. So this is a little hot rod of a saw from what I hear. I have run it a bit, but I haven't really used it that much. So let's have a quick look at this saw and then we'll jump into some footage of me running it in the wood. Okay, let's have a good look at this thing. The only thing wrong with this saw is this little snap comes off once in a while. I'll have to see if I have another one in my spares. There she is, 357 XP. If you guys have been on the channel, you know that I did a bunch of work to this. This thing was plagued with air leaks. There's the air filter. I'm just kind of checking this thing over before I run it. There you go. You guys just saw that. This thing falls off every time. Other than that, friends, this is basically like a really small 372 with crank stuffers. The other saw on this chassis is a 359. 359 was 59 cc's, no crank stuffers, and a non-XP model. Now, I've run both. The 359 is a little gruntier. It's kind of like a 350 or 365 special versus a 372 if you've run those both. 372 makes more power, it's got more RPM. The 365 makes less power, less RPM, but the 365 has a broader torque curve. This saw here, from what I've heard, is more of a screamer, high RPM. This isn't a saw you're gonna dog in and pull a dull chain. And again, being 57 cc's, I think this is gonna be more of a sawman saw. And I'm gonna find out today. I'm gonna go do some cutting with this thing. I get asked all the time about my bars. This is a full house 28-inch 3/8 Husqvarna large mount bar. This is a small mount saw. And all you do, friends, is you'll have to line it up and you'll see you have to grind the hole in the bar up higher, closer to the slot, so that the bar adjuster fits. And then all I do, I take a little piece of sheet metal and I wrap it around the bar studs. And then stick the bar on, and that takes up the slop. Okay, oil holes in the same place. This bar oils really nicely on this saw. Now, I did do one thing to this saw. I did the old cheap and dirty Tin Man double fish gill trick. I don't know if you guys can see that right here. Okay, this saw, the muffler on this saw is really choked up. Also, these had an automatic decomp. I did get rid of that this summer and just generally resealed the top end. This top end was leaking at the intake. the impulse and the decomp. So it runs good now. It didn't run very good when I first got it. I'm gonna do some cutting with this, load this saw up, and let's go rock and roll and have some fun. Okay friends, 357 XP, 28-inch full house. Let's see how this thing bucks in some bigger wood. Okay, so that was some snippets of me running this saw. First off, the saw ran perfect today. I did tune it quite a bit. Last time I ran this, it was winter time, so the saw was really, really rich. Turned the high jet in probably a half a turn, and the low jet in probably a half a turn, quarter turn, somewhere around there, to get this thing to run the way I want it to run. I will say, for what this saw is, it's about as strong as they come. 57 cc's, it's a screamer. Husqvarna did a great job on this saw. I will say though, friends, it was struggling in that larger blue spruce today, and I know that sounds crazy, but that blue spruce is not easy cutting at all. At least the stuff that we have here isn't when it gets dry. When it's green, it cuts nice and smooth. When it's dry, all those knots and that wavy grain, you tend to need a little more grunt than RPM. This saw did it though. Limbing, this saw is incredible for limbing. It's like a little, it's like a lightsaber. It just flicks around. It's very light, good anti-vibe. It oils like absolutely crazy. This bar was just dripping with oil today, which is what I look for when I'm cutting this dry blue spruce. I will say though, friends, I brought my Iron Horse 372 with me today and finished the tree with that. I kind of have a skewed version of how much power a saw should be running stuff like that. That thing's an absolute animal. I didn't even put it in today's video because it wouldn't be fair to the little 357. For what this saw is though, friends, it's strong. If you could find one of these, I know they're hard to get now, I would definitely pick one up if you're looking for a small saw, but you don't really want to go down to 50 cc. You want something that'll pull a longer bar. Well, this saw will definitely do it. I would say this 28-inch full house is about as much bar as this saw wants to oil and run, but a 24 on here would probably be perfect, but you guys know me, I like to stand up and buck. So what else can I say about it? What would I compare it to? Maybe a 562. 562's got way more power though, I would say, than this saw, but it runs similar. It doesn't have the torque like running a 562. A 562 is more of a, it's more of a, you know, a sharp chain, high raker kind of saw. And this saw is very similar to that. You need to be sharp with this saw, and you need to not have your rakers too low. And you can't really dog in and reef on the saw with this thing. It's just not that kind of saw. But other than that, friends, it starts one pull. It would sit there and idle. And I was banging wedges today and stuff like that. This saw just sat there and purred all day, no matter what I did. It sat there for 10 or 15 minutes and just idled. And when I picked it up, it was ready to go. So I'm going to say Husqvarna 357, 2 thumbs up. It's a great little saw. I think I'm going to port this. This would be a saw that I'd be more inclined to do a little bit of machine work to it, lower the exhaust roof, give it more intake and more transfer, and just let it breathe a little bit more. But I've never put a wheel on one of these, so I don't know where they time at. Anyhow, friends, 357 XP. Super cool that I get to own this saw, and I like it. It's just another nasty little Husqvarna chainsaw in my arsenal. So, okay, it's time for question of the day. But before we do that, how about that 357? That's one saw that guys have been telling me to get one for years. They're like, you need to get one of those. It's a great saw. I have one. I agree. It's for what it is, it's nice. Now, it's not going to run shot for shot with a 372, but it doesn't matter. It's light, flippable. You know, it flicks around from side to side. It oils well. It's got good anti-vibe. I mean, that's a nice saw. And that one there is not a fresh build or anything like that. That thing's got lots of time on it. And I was thinking today, perhaps I need to put that on my winter rebuild list. I still got the 562 I need to put a top end on, and maybe we'll do the 357. I have bearings and a gasket set and seals for that. I'm not sure if I have a piston. I don't think so. But that's easy. We can always reach out to Ryan at Wolf Creek and get a Meteor or Highway piston for it. So I'm thinking that's what I'm going to do. I'd like to freshen that saw up, and who knows, while we're in there, we can grab the old Fordham and maybe grind on it a little bit. So that'll be good fun. Nice to see, or it'd be nice to see if we get a little more power out of it. The second thing is, friends, don't forget, I am all fired up. In 3 weeks, I'll be at the Ripsaw booth in Lower City, Ohio at the Paul Bunyan Show. This is the first show I've ever been to, friends. Traveling just wasn't something that I could do for the last couple of years with everything that was going on. And so I'm going to make the time and come and see you guys. So come and see Eric and the boys and Buckin at the Ripsaw booth. And if everything works out, friends, I'll have some goodies there to give away to you guys, and we'll have some fun. So if you're in the neighborhood or you're at the show, please stop in and see us, and I'd love to meet as many of you as possible. Okay, moving on. Today's question of the day. I read this question last week, and for the life of me, I can't figure out who posted it. Friends, part of having a decent-sized YouTube channel, I don't consider my channel large by any stretch of the words, is you get just a pile of comments and questions and email and stuff like that, which I love. But sometimes you read an email and you can't remember, or you can't find it again, or a question. But today's question was, a fella posted that he noticed me tuning my 266 when I was limbing. It was 4-stroking, so I gave it a little high jet tweak and to clean it up, and kept a long cutting. What he wanted to know is, will I retune my saw if I go from small wood to big wood? Because of course, if my saw is screaming in small wood, if I put it in big wood, it might tend to go a little bit lean. Well, my answer to that is yes and no, depending on the saw, depending on the scenario. I usually don't tune my saws that they're at the utmost level of RPM. But I can't handle listening to a 4-stroke while I'm limbing and bucking small wood. So if I need to tune my saw a couple times in a day, I will. Ported saws, I typically don't tune them right away because they get hot. And with all that horsepower, you make heat. So what I'll usually end up doing is I'll warm my saw up, listen to the blubbering and the 4-stroking for that little bit of time. And if it keeps doing it, then I'll go and give that high jet a little tweak. So yeah, I definitely, if I got to tune my saw a couple times in a day, I will definitely do that. You don't want to run the risk of being lean when you're bucking. So that was a good question, and thank you to whoever asked that question. And I apologize, I couldn't find it again. So I know it was there though, friends. It wasn't just in my name or in my mind. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Take her easy, and I'll see you guys in a couple days later.